Today on Tal Mouse, we're going to test out the Byrna 12-gauge Kinetic shotgun rounds. Last year when I went to Sportsman's Warehouse, they had a Byrna demo trailer thing set up out in the parking lot. And once I learned that the Byrna pistols are around $500 or $600 out the door with everything, I started looking at these shotgun shells they had. So I asked how much they were, and the guy told me, well, you do have to go through a background check to get these things, and that just ruined the deal right there. And then along comes Johnny H., who contacted me and offered to send us some of these. I honestly tried to talk him out of it. I realized they're expensive, about $30 for a box, and then shipping on top of that. So I want to thank Johnny for being so generous so he could share these with the rest of the viewers. I have to admit, I was quite intrigued with these things. Really cool looking. It kind of looks like a rocket. Bold colors. Really cool black shells. These are all plastic shells, no brass at all. And it has these weird little cutouts for no apparent reason. The shells have no powder in them and are powered simply by a 209 primer. A Cheddite 209 primer to be specific. The shells have no roll crimp, so removal of the entire projectile is quite easy. Actually, too easy. At the bottom of the shell is a gas seal, and that just acts like a plunger, and that pushes the projectile out the barrel. But it has to be small enough to slide through the barrel without any restriction at all. A normal gas seal would become lodged in the barrel if it was powered just by a primer. Now, the projectile itself is shrouded inside this unique sabot, clamshell-looking device. It's almost like a fairing off of a rocket ship. And it has a little hole in front which kind of blows it open after you shoot it. Now, one of the questions I asked myself was, why did they even bother using these sabots at all? Why not make the projectile the bore size and add all the mass from the sabots that normally get wasted, right? And put that all into the projectile itself. There's honestly no reason to have the sabots other than trying to just make it look cool. Now, one issue I found was since they just use friction fit to hold the projectile in the shell, all it takes is a little bit of inertia, not much even, to knock that thing out. And when you rack these things into the chamber, well, the same thing happens. What you want is the gas seal and the projectile right up against each other, so when it goes off, it pushes cleanly. If the projectile is partially dislodged and you have a gap there, then the gas seal is slamming into the back of it. You have a loss of power and maybe even damage to the sabot. Securing it in the shell would be an easy fix. Just a little speck of glue or something like that would be all it would take. The projectile itself is pretty light, coming in at 4.4 grams. It has fins on it, which are slanted, which is supposed to spin stabilize it. But it is a finned projectile, so I'm not sure if that's even needed. But it probably can't hurt. Now, I'm starting to think that the guy that designed these was influenced by the design of these water rockets. If you had one of these, you were cool, and you probably still remember exactly how they smell. Now, when you look at this thing, you probably think they just painted that nose black like that. No, this is where it gets crazy. The projectile is actually made out of two pieces using what I believe two different types of plastic. The tail assembly is made out of a more brittle plastic. The nose assembly is a lot more resilient and less prone to breakage. Well, let's do a little testing. We'll record it with a high-speed camera, and we can determine if they're stable in flight, if they're actually spinning, and we can also see how much power these things actually have. Now, we are about 20 feet away, and we are using a smoothbore with no choke. We'll be shooting at this half-inch sheet of drywall. You'll notice how quiet it is. There was actually more noise coming from the impacts on the target than from the gun. We could see how the sabots release from the projectile. We could also see the gas seal flying downrange. And this was about as picture-perfect performance as you can expect. The projectile is flying at about 300 feet per second and is supposed to deliver around 20 joules of energy. Now, if you shoot these in your house, you should expect to have some holes in your wall still. Now, it's unlikely it would travel through both layers of drywall in your house, but it might still damage the second layer. Next we'll shoot this grapefruit and see what kind of damage it does to that. And we are using the same conditions as the first test. Now in this test we actually had a malfunction. Yeah, we hit the grapefruit, but the accuracy was pretty dismal. The gas seal was more accurate than the projectile. It hit dead center. Now what happened was the sabots did not release cleanly. One of them kind of hung on to the projectile a split second longer than the other, and that just threw it off trajectory. Now this isn't a manufacturing defect or anything like that. It's just the downside of using sabots. You don't always get a clean separation. Now Byrna claims these are accurate out to 100 feet, but you can imagine we probably would have missed a human-sized target with this round. But in reality, you're probably not going to be in a self-defense situation where you're shooting at someone at 100 feet. It's going to be more like 20 yards or less. Now we can see that the gas seal had enough energy to stick itself into the grapefruit, so that might have hurt a little bit. And the projectile itself made it almost all the way through, and it discharged the little black insert. I never could find that piece. Now if you're practicing with these, which I think you really should do, and you can find all the pieces, you can actually reload these with a fresh primer. Now the tail fins are actually pretty brittle, and in my tests I broke a few of those. Now the sabots and the gas seals bounce all over the place, and I found it difficult to actually find them. As long as the parts are not damaged, you can reload these and shoot them again. And it really doesn't take any special tools to do that. Now these projectiles are supposed to be spin stabilized with those slanted fins, but in this shot, as it comes into focus, we can see that it's not spinning at all. But it's still a stable flying projectile, so that makes me question if the slanted fins are even needed. It did pretty well without it. And I definitely would not want to get hit in the earlobe with one of these things. Now this one actually functioned quite well, good sabot release, and the projectile is spinning in this shot. Now this is very similar accuracy that we saw on our first shot on the drywall, about an inch to the left. As long as everything works, these things are pretty accurate. I still believe this product would be greatly improved if they did away with the sabots. Remember, the primer is pushing not only the projectile, but the weight of the sabots too. The energy of the sabots is more or less wasted. With a full-bore projectile, you'd have fewer failures and more energy on target. Here we can see the Byrna projectile did leave a little dent in this thick propane cylinder, and I think that would hurt. Next, we're going to try a rifled barrel. I don't know if this was intentional or just a happy accident, but the fit is nearly perfect. Now, I doubt Byrna ever tested these from a fully rifled shotgun before, but it actually performed quite well. The accuracy was pretty good, and we had enough energy to actually pierce the soup can. And I really expected just to put a big dent in the can, but that kind of surprised me there. And even more surprising to me, because the tail fins were breaking on me quite a bit, was when I dumped it out, the tail fins were undamaged, and I could just wash that off and reuse it. Now here's another shot of the projectile leaving the rifled barrel. Very nice separation. Now we can see that the projectile actually engaged the rifling. I didn't think it was tight enough to do that, but look how beautiful that separation is. It's as if they designed these to shoot out of a rifled barrel. If the fit was any tighter, the projectile would get lodged in the barrel. If it was any looser, it wouldn't engage the rifling. The spin from the rifling gave us very consistent sabot separation, and the projectile is able to spin from the airflow going over those slanted fins. In fact, it's spinning faster than the twist rate of the shotgun rifling. Now this is just double-walled cardboard, and the fins did break on this shot, But even after passing through that cardboard, look at the amount of damage it did to that fence. A pretty sizable dent. But you got to ask yourself, is that enough to dissuade a bad guy in a self-defense situation? That's very subjective. Now, earlier I talked about having to go through a background check to buy this ammo in my state. And I'm just too proud, and I'm not going to subject myself to do that, especially for something just powered by a shotgun primer. On top of that, Byrna will not even ship to these states. That is a lot of sales that just are not going to happen. As these are sold, these are considered loaded ammunition, and local and state laws all apply. The hole on the right is primed, it's just not loaded, and that can be bought and delivered right to my door without any background check or hazmat fees or anything. As ridiculous as this sounds, all Byrna would have to do to open up a lot of states to sales is sell these things unloaded like that. Just kind of sell it like a kit and let the buyer just slide that into the shell and it's ready for action. You are welcome, Byrna, but I doubt they will ever see this video. Well, I hope you enjoyed this evaluation of the Byrna less lethal kinetic shotgun round. Now, if you're looking for this round in 20 gauge, 16 gauge, 410, I have good news for you. 12 gauge shotguns are still pretty cheap. Yeah, unfortunately, all the cool stuff comes in 12 gauge. Well, what did we learn today? Well, these are pretty reliable. They usually function well if the sabo's released properly. These might stop an attacker as long as they have the right pain threshold and aren't wearing a thick coat. The functionality of these is greatly improved using a rifled shotgun. Unfortunately, most people don't own rifled shotguns. They cannot be shot through a full choke, they just get stuck in the barrel, and even the rifle choke I checked the fit in is too tight, and that too would cause them to just be a squib. They will not cycle, of course, in a semi-automatic. I did notice that they cycled very well out of my pump-action shotgun. Both feeding and ejection was very reliable. But like anything firearm-related, your results may vary. Now, once again, I want to thank Johnny for sharing these with us so we could evaluate them and see if they're something that you may actually want to buy. But that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you very much for watching.